Hello again. My name is Maya Dari del Sol, and I will be talking today about the wound of injustice, which is the five wound. For the ones that don't know, this is a series of um, chapters because the information came from a book called The Five Wounds That Don't Allow to Be Yourself, and the author is Liz Bourbeau. And I wanted to just honor that because that information has been great for me and have given me a lot of insights, and I hope it does for you too. So let's begin. The one number five. Oh, and before I go on, I want to invite you to see the other four wounds that I already spoke about, which are rejection, abandonment, betrayal, and humiliation. Because one of those or this one could be the one that applies the most to you. And if it is so, then maybe it will be good for you to have some self-observations from this information so you can transcend that. We need to transcend this one so we can really grow and expand the way we are looking for in a relationship with others outside of our house. And it is just a way of growing when you get to recognize this. It's a way of transcending that pain, that suffering. Okay, so let's go to the one number five. And it happened between the age of 3 to 5 years old. And it usually happens with the parent of the same gender. What happened here, probably what happened here was that because it's all the perceptions, maybe it didn't happen, or maybe it happened, but it's all about the perceptions that we had as children that we felt something and it created these wounds within ourselves. And this wound happened, I'm going to just give an example, between maybe dad and son. So it's the same gender, the father and the son. And maybe this son perceived that his father was too cold, sort of. Also, when maybe this father didn't tell this kid or this son to recognize how good you're doing this, or maybe was criticizing in a really hurtful way. And so this kid feels this wound is like really hurtful because my dad maybe don't validate me, don't recognize me. And what happens here is that severity, because it's a sort of severity here, and or lack of tolerance, like the father is maybe too impatient and things like that. So it's not only the father, it could be also the mother with the daughter. I'm just giving an example here. So usually what happens here is that this parent also doesn't lacks communication. Maybe it's just when they communicate it's to hurt, but not to correct in a loving way maybe. And so, and they are very quiet. They kind of don't talk a lot. So this kid feels this sort of coldness. And to protect from feeling hurt, it kind of blocks the emotions. So the only way for this child to survive is to block my feelings. I'm not gonna feel anything. So no matter what they say, no matter what they think, no matter what happens, I'm all good. And they don't show it. It's like they are kind of emotionless. They just stay. They don't smile, but they don't express any feelings. They kind of block their hearts. And that's kind of the reaction that is kind of safe for them not to feel, so they wouldn't feel hurt again. And that, of course, is going to create a mask, and they become very rigid. They become they are very sensible, yes, but they don't want others to see it. They don't want others to see that they are vulnerable. So they create this sort of mask to be rigid. And if you see them outside, they are kind of the perfectionist, the very strict one, the very yeah, the strict one. It's like very rigid, no flexibility. They are really straight. And in front of others, they kind of look cold as well. They don't want that, but that's the perception they also give, because that's they have cultivated this mask since they were children. And so that's what happens. So what happens here, or what happened in the past with this person, is that he or she didn't feel appreciated, no, not appreciated of what they do, or they don't feel like they deserve, maybe because the parents didn't give them that they, or that's what they thought they didn't give them. So they feel like they don't, that like it's no good to, I don't deserve, I don't deserve is pretty much what they have, this thought, this inner thought. And when sometimes when they receive too much, they still feel it's unfair, like I don't want to receive that because then I will feel that it's unfair. They have this thing that they want, but they don't take it because they feel it could be unfair if they don't feel they deserve it. Sometimes they do because they love being rewarded. They love when they recognize them and they say, this is the merits, or they honor them for what they did, because they are very perfectionist, very perfectionist. They too, there is no mistake, because one of the biggest fears this one has is to make mistakes. They actually take things to do them themselves because they don't want anybody to be in the middle and to commit a mistake. So they kind of put themselves this goal, this challenge to make things by themselves, so also they can get the whole merit, for example. So they are very perfectionist. For them, if something is not perfect, it's kind of not fair. It's not fair if it is not perfect. At the same time, if we see it from the other side, it is not perfect. It is not fair that things aren't that perfect, because there is perfection in the imperfection, it is said. So physically, I'm going to talk about physically. This one has a perfect body. These are these sort of fitted people that are very, the proportions are very well in the body. And they also love working out, but they are more of the athlete body. Like they take a lot of care on their diet, for example, and they have a lot of, what they seem is discipline, but it's a lot of non-flexibility. It's like it's too much, too strict. They don't know, they don't have the limit of what discipline is. They push themselves to, they are too hard on themselves. But for example, if they eat, usually their diets are very clean and organics and vegetarians or vegans, and they read the calories and they read what it has, and they are very picky with those sort of things because they love having a good figure. They don't like anything that is extra in the body, so they work for it. Their body is always very straight, like this is their posture. You see them, like the back is always straight, and the shoulders are in place, and they have this sort of posture with the neck also long and kind of with pride. And they don't they don't gain weight easily. They just stay in shape. That's their goal. And they also love to wear clothes that are kind of tied to the body, especially to the waist. Like you would see maybe a man that wears like it looks good, but they also wear like the belt in the waist. And also women, they have this tight clothes here, and they put maybe a belt just to show that shape. That's kind of a sort of straining, like putting something too tight, because that's a sort of rigidity too as well. So they have this sort of lack of flexibility. It's so hard for them to be flexible. And actually, you can say it in the workout. They would do anything that has to do with any performance, but flexibility not so much, because that's showing something that is emotional as well. They feel like they want to be validated for what they do. They work for it. So if you maybe tell them, "Oh, you're such a lucky person that you got that merit," they will maybe reply saying, "Oh, no, that's not luck. I worked for it," because they actually work for it. So they use words like this because everyone has different sort of words they use. And the words that they use the most are never, always. An example is that, "Oh, you're never at home." And that's not true. That's actually unfair to say that, because maybe the person is not home when that person called, or never finds this person at home, but this person must be at home because that's their home. So they don't notice that what they're saying is unfair, even though they always want to be fair to others. So they have these unconscious things that they don't notice themselves. Also, when they start like talking, for example, they begin by saying well or good, and when they finish, they say okay. They have this sort of language that is very straight. Also, they have this thing of they need clarity. Like if you tell them something, they usually would say, "That's not clear. I want you to clarify it for me." They have this sort of, they want everything to be aligned to that straight line, so they wouldn't commit any mistakes because they don't want to commit any mistakes. For them, it's also one way or the other way. It's not in the middle. So for them, it's or it's good or it's bad, or it's black or it's white, or right and wrong, but not in the middle, right? So they kind of, that's how they guide everything. Or is this way or is the other way. That cannot be in the middle. That's why they lack flexibility. It's just that color or this color, but no gray. And they also have this thing that you ask them how they're doing, and even if they are having a bad day or bad moment, they usually say, "Oh, everything is good. Everything's so perfect." And maybe when they start talking, they can say, "Oh, but this happened to me and that happened to whatever." But then at the end, say, "But everything is good. I have everything. So everything is working well." Let's put it this way. So it's hard for them to show their vulnerability. They don't show it. If they are showing it and they notice it, they right away go to say everything is good. So no one can see them inside, because they don't want to show that one. Let me see. They like, they love this, since they are the justice, everything is got to be equal. They have this thing that everything is got to be split in equal parts. Let's say that maybe you went out with some friends and one of them has this wound of the injustice, and maybe the bill comes at the end, and this person would divide everything, even counting cents. Even cents, everything is going to be divided, and every person is going to pay exactly the same. And if maybe someone asks for an extra drink or for a meal that was more expensive than the others, right? This person will feel that it's unfair for others to pay that. So it kind of asks for the bill again and divides everything and gives the extra for the person who maybe got an extra something in the meal or extra drink. So they will feel that is fair. They usually, when they get in the middle of something, it's not to control, but to make sure everything is fair. So that's pretty much their behavior. They have this thing with their behaviors. They push themselves, they impose themselves to do things that are like really hard, like the challenges that are very hard, and they don't care about their bodies. Since they learn how to block their emotions, they also learn how to block how to feel, how to have even sensations in the body. So they don't get sick easily, because of course they cannot get sick easily. So they have this like the line of pain for them is very high. They, no, I'm good, I'm okay, I'm good, I'm okay. They ended up in the hospital and they're like, I don't know how that happened. I didn't feel it that way. I didn't feel it coming. But it's because they block their emotions, their feelings, their sensations not to feel, because that's being vulnerable. And so they could be the perfect, they could actually, if we see these people in this one, they could be good actors in those movies where they have like the psycho person that doesn't have any emotions for anybody, or the police, or the spy that they cannot show they are a spy. So those sort of roles where they don't show a lot of emotions, they could be good at that, for example, because they don't want to show any of their emotions. They, even though they have this inner no feeling, they get exhausted because there's nobody that can resist all the work that they take. They do a lot, and they don't want help. They don't want anybody to help them. They want to do that things themselves. So at certain point, the body feels this exhaustion, it's tired, but they still don't ask for help. So eventually, at the end, I'm going to talk a little bit about all the illnesses that they can get because of this. Because one thing takes to another one, and that's important to see this. It is hard for them to receive. It is hard for them to accept, for example, gifts, because they feel uncomfortable. It's like, oh my God, how am I going to, if I receive this gift, I'm gonna have to give this person a gift back. And I don't know how much is this gift or the value of this. I'm gonna have to give this person something that is kind of the same value, so it will be fair. So it is hard for them to receive. They have issues with receiving. It is just that, because of course they had this wound that it was so strong in them that they never received what they thought they needed. So they block themselves from that, and it's so hard for them because they don't wanna, especially if it shows some affection, oh my God, they just don't want it. They sometimes say, no, thank you, I cannot take that. It's hard for them to accept gift, for example, to receive. The thing for them is to receive is so hard for them because they feel kind of in debt. So their motivation pretty much is to do things to look perfect. That's what motivates them the most in life. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it perfectly. And if something happens, they feel bad. It's like, I made a mistake. Why did I make a mistake? Where did I do the mistake? How come I did the mistake? And they ask and they say, okay, I made a mistake. I'm going to correct it. And they go to improve it to the point where, to where it should have been done. And that's how they feel like it is fair now. It is hard for them to take a break. Like if they are at work and there is a break time and maybe he's too relaxed, he feels or she feels bad. It's like, oh my God, I'm stealing from my company because I'm too relaxed and I'm not working. So they have this sort of, the unfairness come because they think they are kind of stealing from others because I'm not working. And And so they feel bad of no doing, no, it's not fair for me to be too relaxed here at work, for example. And they are obsessive with cleaning and order. Everything is very neat. Everything is in place and is clean and is in order. It's obsessive with that. That's one of their behaviors, that they like everything clean and in place, and that's some sort of too much. Let's put it this way. It's like that people that they don't accept anything that is not the way they want them, you know. They push themselves so much to the point that discipline becomes not discipline, but it's like too rigid. They don't distinguish the difference between discipline and too rigid. And so, for example, if they say my workout goes from 5 to 6 every day, and let's say that today is my day to go jogging outside, outdoors. And if it's raining, it doesn't matter. That's how I plan it. That's what I'm doing. And so even if it rains, they go out and run because that's what they plan, and they don't want to break that. They don't like breaking. They don't like being flexible to themselves. It's like, that's not valid for them. That's not right. That's not right. Speaking of justice, it's not right. They get mad if, for example, they make a decision and at the end it didn't turn out the way that was expected. I'm gonna give an example here. Let's say that a friend of mine came to ask me for some money, but can I borrow some money from you? And maybe I say, okay, I'm gonna give you, let's say $10, and when are you going to pay me? And that would be the question. So when are you planning to return this money? So if the person cannot take that money back that day because something happened, they would be mad at themselves. It's like, oh, I saw it coming. I don't know why I did let this person borrow the money, because it's like that's the unfairness. They don't get mad at the other, but they get mad at themselves for accepting this because they think they made a mistake by doing that. So they kind of blame themselves on the mistake. It's like, I shouldn't have borrowed this money to this person because I knew this person was gonna do this, and so it's like, I didn't see it coming. It should have been perfect, and it wasn't. There was a mistake there, and that's how they see it. So it's not even about the money or about the other, but about judging yourself for making the mistake. They have a lot of difficulties with dating because it is difficult for them to accept love, to be loved, or to love other ones. So even pleasure, it's like, it's hard for them to feel pleasure because that's kind of showing something like something they like, and they don't like knowing anything. They don't like showing to others anything that they like or they enjoy or that awakens any sort of feelings. So these people have a lot of problems dating and having a relationship because of this. They avoid even touching, the contact. They don't like it too much. And so for that, it's a somatization in the body that they create probably skin problems, like psoriasis, for example, or something that creates some sort of to the other, repulsion to the other person, so the other person doesn't want to contact with me. It's a sabotaging thing, because maybe the other person doesn't feel like that. It's something that they think that if I create this, then the other person is not gonna like me or doesn't want to be touching me, because it's hard for them to feel the contact, the touch. So that's another of their unconscious behaviors, because most of these or all of these or is unconscious, and people don't tend to see it that way. They think that they are like that and they don't know why, but it's because maybe they have this one. They tend to compare with others that are better than them, and so they feel like the other ones are perfect, but they are not, which is a kind of a punishment, a self-punishment, you know. It's repeating the same from a childhood, you know. I'm not good enough because my parents thought that I wasn't, maybe. And so you compare with others that are perfect, and that's hard to compete with. And they also honor and respect others that are in higher positions, for example, because they love being the star and they work for it, and they honor and respect these people who have accomplished many things. They want to be like them, so they actually study a lot and they prepare themselves to get there as well. So when they get those recognitions, they feel well, because it's like, one moment that didn't give me, maybe this company is giving to me today. But still, the memory or the wound is still there, pulsing, because who we all are always waiting to receive this recognition is from mom and dad or that. And so it is, we still have to work on this, even though they feel well here. It's like they kind of do it because they want to show mom or dad that, look, I did it. And that's unconscious, of course. That is kind of your inner child, because we all have this inner child that we haven't been able to attend, to take care of, to show attention, to show that, because this inner child still needs attention and love. And once we get to do that, if we receive maybe a reward or an award or whatever, we are not doing it because it's not like, look, mom, you didn't see me, but I got to do it. But because you already know that you deserve it, because you work for it, and because you have self-recognition of what you're doing in your life. That's the difference. You get to recognize yourself and also learn how to be less perfectionist and maybe more flexible. And they eventually they transcend this one, and they get to be more flexible and accept that you don't need to be perfect to be right. It's all about being right. Okay, what else? Well, let's talk about the illnesses then, which is the last part. They have a lot of problems in their back and neck, and also, of course, because this is their posture, but they cannot leave this posture, because then it's just showing something else. They don't want to show that other part, so they have to keep this mask of being rigid. And also, like the knees, the wrist, or the joints, knees, ankles, wrists, shoulders, all the joints tend to have inflammation because of the rigidity. And that's the lack of flexibility that is more emotional than in the body. Maybe when I learn how to be more flexible, maybe I can get to feel more comfortable with moving, like being flexible. Also, they have problems with exhaustion, and they can get very tired, but they just don't want to say it because they work too much. So all of those signs, you should be taking care of those. and giving to yourself, because it's hard for them to give to themselves as well. I don't receive a gift, but I don't want to give to myself either. And because I still have to accomplish this. So that's their priority always. They have also issues with inflammation, muscles and tendinitis and arthritis, bursitis, all of the inflammations that are related to joints and bones because of same thing, lack of flexibility, cramps, because the muscles also are very tight, and the circulation also. They have issues with the circulation because when you're too tight, then you don't allow the flow of energy, or the flow of the blood in the body. So they have problems with circulation in the body, and that's it's very common on them. And also that also can affect their sexuality, for example, if they are a man, because both genders, because of that sort of not allowing, and that can create other things as well. They have issues with their skin, like dry skin, for example, or when they don't wanna, or maybe they are attracted to someone, but they don't want it because it's unconscious. Maybe they can create some sort of rash on the skin, or psoriasis, or something in the body, acne or whatever, to create that sort of don't touch me. But I want that touch, but unconsciously I self-sabotage myself by creating something in the skin that makes them think that the other one is not gonna want them. So that's the way to avoid that contact. They also have issues with the liver because they have a lot of anger and repression. And the liver is an organ that is related in the Chinese medicine to anger. And that anger is that repression that they don't allow, they don't show it. Even if they are mad, they don't show it. If they are sad, they don't show it. So all of those feelings are repressed. And these people can, at certain point, have a big shadow. And because they don't allow that shadow to show, or at least they don't even recognize it, that could be dangerous at certain point. Because the shadow, when you repress it so much, at certain point, it comes out and disasters can happen. Also, the nervous system, they have, they think a lot. They have this nervousness, of course, of not being validated. So the nervous system is always active. That's why they also get this exhaustion, because they are always in that situation, and they have then sleep problems. It's hard for them to sleep or to rest, because they are always thinking, how am I going to do it perfect? And tomorrow when I get up, I'm going to do this and this and that and that and that. I have everything in order, and I'm not going to fail. And this is kind of their mind. So it's hard for them to rest. And that has consequences, that can bring consequences in the body. So that was pretty much it. That's all I wanted to share about this one of injustice. And I also want to invite you, before I go, to subscribe if you haven't done it yet, and to join our Family and Systemic Constellations meetings online on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, where we do heal all of these wounds, our past and our ancestral past. Because usually if you live this sort of experience, it's because your parents couldn't resolve. And maybe that's why they behave in this way that is still affecting you, and it affected your childhood. So the only way to change that is by recognizing that and by transcending it through an experience. And that's what we do in Family Constellations. So if you are interested, you can join us. I'm going to leave the link here for you to join. and comments. And also, or you can go to my website, mayadaridelsoul.com, and you can register in Journey to the Soul. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to share today. I hope it gave you some good insights, and I'll see you next time around. Have a wonderful day. Bye.